Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Simon did an interview on connecting consciousness back on March the 19th. I had been meaning to catch up and do a video review about this, but once again, people think that I'm just this angry guy on YouTube or on the internet just talking shit about Simon. But once again, the questioners and the people that are listening in the audience are taking notes and paying very close attention to what he's saying and what he's ducking and dodging. Once again, Simon ducked and dodged this question. I want you guys to listen carefully at what it is, and I'm going to give my 2-cent commentary after he's done. So let me get this started right now. Here we go. Listen carefully and I'll be back with my 2-cent commentary. This one's going to be probably a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but you got to hear this.
Some more things that connect both of us. All right. This is from Captain 1953. The cosmic genealogy of Jews, Aryans, Asians. Right. Please, Simon, help us understand the cosmic genealogy of the races on the planet now. What is the difference between the Jewish people and the Aryan people from an Annunaki point of view? Do they both come from the Annunaki? Why do both believe they are chosen of God and dislike and distrust the other race so much? Some people believe that the Jewish people in Israel are not real Jews, they are Khazars, and the black people are really the Jewish race. What do you think of this? Also, who created the Asian race? Is there a difference between the dragons of China?
Too many questions.
Too many questions. All right, so let's just go back. Let's start with, what's the difference between the Jewish people and the Aryan people from an Anunnaki point of view? How's about that?
Right. The Jewish people are a bloodline all of their own. And they were a chosen race, and I'm going to use that word, simply because Enlil presented himself as the God of the Jews, and he created a system that would keep them, as he saw it, pure, so that they wouldn't interbreed outside of their own people. And he gave them rules and laws to ensure that they worshipped him, and that they had sacrifice, and that they followed a reptilian culture. So that is totally different from Anunnaki, right? The main body of the Jews, and that's a separate line from the Anunnaki. But the people who were running the Jewish race did come from the Anunnaki. That should be understood. The Kazakhstanian Jews and the Holy Land Jews do have a difference of opinion. They have different values and a different way of expressing their culture or religion. One of the major reasons for part of American operations under the old government regime of Obama to start a war in the Ukraine was to try to give the Kazakhstanian Jews control over part of the Ukraine. Kazakhstanian Jews claim part of Russia and part of the Ukraine as their true homeland, and this was the real reason to try and break this part away from Russia. The Ukrainians have always been different from Russia. When the Second World War occurred and the German troops went in, many of the Ukraine supported them until the SS went in and started murdering women and children. Then, of course, they turned against them. But in that interim period, many people in the Ukraine welcomed the arrival of the Germans because they believed it would remove them from Stalin and Russia. But the Kazakhstanian Jews believe they have a right to this part of the world, and they have a completely different control set to the Jewish people of the Holy Land. So the questioner is right. Obviously, he or she understands that those people see themselves quite differently. And one group is more of a magical. The Kazakhstani Jews have a more fundamental connection, shall we say, to the roots than the general Jewish group. So, because the only reason I stopped you is because then the next question was about Asian people, and there's such a big question just to talk about the Jewish race that I just can't swing that away and go on to that one. That's fundamental to the control. Most of the you see, there's a line between the Mergavinians, who are very prevalent in Italy, and the Kazakhstanian Jews. Most of these are bankers. Most of these are who own huge amounts of wealth and land, and between them, they probably command maybe half of the planet.
So these are the factions.
Yes.
Underneath, you've got this. Are you saying the Merovingians? That includes the Cathars and all that tradition, and the Knights Templars and all that. And then you've got the. So, could you give us a kind of brief the listing of the hierarchy? Like this goes into that and these and that. So, for instance, if we're looking at the Merovingians and looking at the Khazarians on one side and the other.
Right. Well, what happens is that you join a club. Literally, when you're invited to join a club, either through your bloodline or your religion or your wealth or your father. But what happens is that the people who are really, really at the very top, they keep a balance. If you put all of the top-notch, powerful people into Group A, then Group A would become top-heavy, and there would be no control element from Group B. So what they'll do is they'll try and put people in so that no one group becomes obviously more powerful than the other, because then it will challenge them. Now, clearly, families will go in. So you could trace your grandfather, great-grandfather, etc., and they will all have gone into the same line. It's a bit like Yale or Harvard. If you were you're a Harvard man, presumably your father and grandfather also went to Harvard. And so it's exactly the same tribalism. However, the people who are really in control will not wish to allow too much power into one group. It's not so much about the groups, it's about the individuals. You could have, let's just say, groups A to Z, and Z is the lowest and A is the highest. But you might put somebody incredibly powerful into Z, so that person then takes the Z group right up to the very top, and then they have a reign of power for 5 or 10 years. Then they're replaced by Group G or Group L. And that way you divide and conquer. However, ruling families will always be ruling families, and they will be elite. And in the days of the mafia, that's exactly what we had in a 3D sense. We had ruling families in the mafia, whether that be in Chicago or whether it be in Italy, in Rome, who would fight. And, for a few years, one group would be in ascendance and then another group would be. But if you look back to the Renaissance period in Italy, Florence, etc., that is the birthplace of I call it the new money. That is the birthplace of a lot of these power struggles that are occurring today. And the Vatican is central as a mover and shaker with all these groups. Okay.
So the Vatican controls both sides? Is like the council, they're on a council and they have representatives, that sort of thing?
The Vatican doesn't control them, but what the Vatican does is it influences them and gives them leeway, but will get involved if a situation is becoming out of control. The Vatican leaves these families by and large to run their own show, but there are certain things that impact on the decisions. They have all parameters over to what decisions they can make, which is their remit and which is not. And the Vatican will often step in to say you're overstepping your mark, or you should be doing more here. But the Vatican doesn't often come down and call people in. What they do is they call people into an audience, and then they are sort of told, you've gone too far, we don't like what you're doing, you need to stop this now. But that doesn't happen very much.
Okay, so now, I'm just trying to count the cards. So why do you both believe they're both chosen of God and dislike the other race too much? So have you covered that? They're kind of rival factions, really, aren't they?
Well, you see, the thing is that you go right back to Enki and Enlil, and which of the two, I use the word loosely, of course, which of the two gods was prevalent with which particular group, because both brothers went out, and then Enki had children, and they've gone out to create their own empires. They couldn't get off the planet, so they would build empires here, and they would hedge their bets, really. They would look to see which group might be powerful, or which group they were allowed to work with. It's literally power play. That's all it is. It's just manipulation of people. It's nothing special here. It's just the same old game wrapped up in different Christmas paper.
Will it ever stop? I mean, are we going to be able to, say, okay, guys, can you find another planet and go and leave us alone and stop manipulating and let us grow, because we're quite interesting?
It will,
in that sort of way.
No, I hear you. It will stop. But it will only stop when a sizable proportion of humanity refuses to be pushed around as slaves anymore. As long as the large proportion of people accept the status quo and don't believe they're any better than get up on a Monday morning, go and work myself nearly to death, and then if I'm lucky I'll get one foreign holiday a year, and I might be able to put some money away for this, that and the other, and they accept that as their lot. And they go on year after year after year, and they just sit and watch television and, or believe everything they read in the newspapers. No, we're not going to evolve, are we? But if a proportion of people actually say, I'm sick of it, I see through this subterfuge, and I'm going to really show my displeasure, then we will change. And that is happening. We've talked about this, the Schumann resonance. The frequency of the Earth went up from 6.34. It's nearly something approaching the 30s now. Now that means that lots and lots of people are beyond the control of the mind lies. The days are gone when sizable portions of people would swallow the childish lies that the elite could put out. Now they've got to be really, really clever lies. They've got to be hugely deceptive. They really have to work hard to even convince just 10% of the public. So they've lost control of a huge portion of people. So that's why the chemtrails are coming on. That's why they're going to fall back to the old fear routine. If we can't manipulate people, if we can't steer them down the road we want to steer them down, well, you know what? We'll try and poison them, or we'll dumb them down, or we'll put so much fear onto them that they will be very open to what we want. And that's the route that these stupid, silly, elite people have chosen. And it's self-defeating, because these people had the chance to break free themselves and to show everyone else that they too were human. But what it seems on the evidence that I'm getting is that they've just gone for the same old routine, which is okay, and we'll just tighten the screw a bit more. And what will happen is the public will rise to that challenge. The days are gone when people would just be kicked about and yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. Those days are not here anymore. People want the truth. People are asking questions. People are becoming tired of the lies. And more people, yes, there's loads of people who are still asleep, but the sizable minority now mean that the elite are using more obvious methods, which will wake up more people. So it's a hiding to nothing, as we say in Great Britain. So I'm actually positive about the future, but I'm very sad that these people who could have made an example of goodness have decided to fall back on their old routines. And, they will suffer the price of this. No doubt about it.
So.
Okay, that's all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving my 2-cent commentary. This is the end of the video. This is all I want to show you guys. Simon went on and on once again about the Jews, like he always does. He gives us this long, drawn-out, boring-ass 20-minute interview about how just fucking glorious they have it and how they did XYZ. Nobody wants to hear that. We've heard that thousands of times. He went on about the Vatican, the Annunaki, Rome, old world money. He just regurgitated shit we already heard before. He didn't want to address the Chinese at all. And snake ass fucking JP and Simon completely didn't want to address the black race. And once again, it was done on purpose, like he's done before. So for all of you who are accusing me of claiming that there's not like a racial component here to all of this, I say to all of you guys, get your head out of your asses, get your head out of Simon's asses, clean your fucking nose, take a breath of fresh air, clear your head, and see what this thing really is all about. Because if there's not a racial component here, I don't know what the fuck is. He don't want to get into the Chinese. Why the fuck would you talk about the fucking Jews? We heard that conversation before, numerous times in videos you've done. So he didn't want to address the Chinese question. He didn't want to address the black people question. You know, which I didn't expect him to in this video. Once again, I'm going to continue to point out the shit that you're hiding from all the people. I'm not going anywhere. Simply put, I will be back next time to point out more of his shit in his future videos so everybody can see what a fraud he is and possibly what a racist he is. Because everything's pointing to that. Fuck you, Simon. Fake ass.